Most people are introduced to the practice of Reiki as a form of hands-on healing. You lie down, someone places their hands on or near your body, and the goal is to help you relax, release tension, or just to restore balance. And that explanation isn't wrong, but it is incomplete. And if you stay at that level, you miss what Reiki actually is. At a deeper level, Reiki is a method for training your awareness. The physical form of the practice, the hands, the stillness, the structure of the session, creates the conditions for attention to settle. As the mind becomes quieter, perception starts to change. You begin to notice things that were always there, but usually hidden beneath thinking, tension, and constant internal activity. In that sense, Reiki has much more in common with meditation than it does with therapy. The difference is that instead of focusing on the breath or a mantra, the body becomes the field of practice. The hands act as an anchor for your attention. And as attention stabilizes, the nervous system begins to shift. Breathing slows, muscular tension softens, and the body moves towards a state of regulation. This is often the point where people say Reiki is working. But what's actually happening is simpler than that. When the mind becomes still and the body settles, the system starts to organize itself a lot more efficiently. What people call healing is often a byproduct of that process. One of the biggest misunderstandings about Reiki is that the idea that the practitioner is doing something to the other person, that they are sending energy, fixing a problem, or making something happen. In traditional practice, that just isn't the case. The practitioner's role is to remain present, steady, and neutral. They're not the source of the process. They're part of the conditions that allow the process to unfold. And as that becomes clearer, the whole structure of the session changes fundamentally. It stops being something you do and becomes something that you just allow. Another shift happens as practice deepens. The person receiving the treatment is no longer just someone being helped. They become part of the practice itself. Their presence reflects the practitioner's state of mind. If the practitioner starts trying to control the session, force an outcome, or mentally interfere, that shows up immediately in the quality of attention. So the session becomes a feedback loop, a way of refining awareness in real time. And occasionally, this can go much, much further. There are moments in practice where the sense of separation between practitioner and recipient begins to completely dissolve. For a brief period, there is no sense of me doing something to you. There is just awareness, no commentary, no effort, no distinction. And then, just as quickly, the usual sense of self returns. Experiences like that are not the goal, but they point to something important. They show that Reiki is not just about relaxation or stress relief. It is actually a structured way of exploring awareness itself. As practice deepens, many people begin to recognize a state often described in contemplative traditions as emptiness, not as something abstract, but as a very direct experience. Awareness without the constant overlay of thought, clear, stable, and open. And in that state, the body tends to regulate itself a lot more effectively. Tension releases, breathing settles, and the system moves towards balance without being forced. This is why healing often appears in Reiki, but it's not because something is being done to the body. It's because the conditions for balance are being restored. So when you ask, what is Reiki? The most accurate answer is this. Reiki is a practice, a structured method for stabilizing attention, quietening the mind, and refining awareness through the body. Healing can happen, relaxation can happen, but those are outcomes, not the foundation. The foundation is awareness, And once that becomes clear, the entire practice starts to make sense.